Welcome everybody to a new episode of the Weekly Wizard. And today I'm joined by Danning from the OX project or the OX network and Matcha. And I'm really happy that you found the time. And it's always great to get talking to some wizards. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invite, Boxer. I'm glad to be here, and thank you everyone for coming and joining.
I think it's always interesting to hear the stories of like how people got into crypto. So maybe if you could tell us about your first touch point, like what notified you of crypto? How did you?
Yeah. So I think I was like really lucky that I was just in school in the data science master program, and then through the program there was like a course about learning Spark, Hadoop, all those big data stuff. And then I was like need to find a course project with my project mate, and then we were like blockchain data is like big data, so maybe we should take a look on that, and I try to apply some machine learning stuff, data science on it. So one thing we were trying to do is to de-anonymize the wallet addresses, which is still a problem right now. It's still a miss right now. So we were like looking into the data, and then Joe Lubin from Consensus, he was having a talk in our campus, and we came up, asked questions. He was like super generous, saying I could connect you with our data science team in Consensus. And then that's how I end up with an internship and then full time. So that was the start of my journey.
Wow, that's a pretty interesting stuff. Usually, it's all the people like we're trying to make like a quick buck or something. Like that's usually the story. And you're just like, yeah, I was actually here for the tech. Like,
Yeah, exactly. But honestly, I think there's a nuance there. So it's like I was doing something data science at the time. Everyone's still like, oh, machine learning AI is the future and stuff. So like I was not awoke saying I realized the value of blockchain when I entered it. I was totally like just lucky to get into it. And then honestly, like the first year or maybe the first half year at Consensus, when people ask me, so what's the difference between Bitcoin and Ethereum? I didn't know how to answer, honestly. So like only gradually after maybe a few months, almost like after a year, and when I actually got into the topic of like Dex, and then there was some topic like TCR, token curated registry, and then CryptoKitty as well. So and I realized it's fun and it's also like super deep, honestly.
yeah. So I guess this was 2016 then, like just from the names you dropped.
Yeah, 17, I would say.
All right, and so back then there was no Dune and probably there was like very little other data providers. So like, did you actually run a full node at Consensus and just like query that node, or like what kind of solutions were you using?
Yeah, so Boxer, so this is an interesting topic. So the team I joined is a data science team at Consensus. So that was literally a competitor of doing analytics. So like we were trying to do actually whatever nowadays all the data providers trying to do. The team was called Alethio. We have like a great team of like the engineers. Most of them are based in Romania. My director, how to say, my direct manager, he also like taught me a lot. He is based in Germany, and so we were trying to do Etherscan plus do analytics plus potentially the graph and all kinds of like data service. And we were running nodes. Initially, the team was doing something like called EastStats, which was a very useful tool for a lot of the early miners to monitor the node situation, the network. So.
But what ended up happening? Like, why are we on the Dune podcast today and not on the Elioth podcast?
Yeah. So I think that the team had great technology, but I think that was a great lesson that we expanded too much in terms of like the business strategy. So we're doing everything, but also it was kind of early, and then like back then there was like a bear market in 2018. So it was really hard for a data team to generate revenue back then when like Uniswap just started yet. It's a pain point that I see that like if you are a data team, your customer mostly are potentially the dApp developers. And then if the dApp team is too small, then they haven't had the funds to purchase external data service yet. If they're mature enough, they probably have like a good solid hand of engineer to build the nodes themselves. So that was like a really kind of like, I would say, a dilemma for data service provider back then. But nowadays it's totally the booming time for data, I think.
Yeah, now there's actually like there's so many like different businesses that it's like it's very self-evident that this is like a service that people could use. Okay, that's interesting to kind of get a glimpse into that history, because like I wasn't around back then. Like I was aping shitcoins. Like I didn't care about data.
I wish I aped the shitcoin.
Yeah, I think we haven't covered like what are you working on today then? Like
Yes. So I think my career focus had a little bit shift in terms of what exact data I try to analyze or decode back in Consensus and nowadays in Xerox. So back then as a Consensus, because it's also like very general industry, kind of or how to say, all around kind of I would say like the data I was analyzing back then were more like industry level research. So it's like back then it was like comparing how decentralized it is, comparing Ethereum versus other chain and stuff, and then all kinds of topic. And back then there was one topic that really picking up like attention for me is Dex. So there was like one article that I started my analysis journey on Dex data. Is like we looked into a few typical Dex protocol. Back then, Xerox was using order book still. And then I did some visualization of like how those Dex user and Dexes are connected potentially with some overlap. And then so I realized that the DApp team, the application team in this space is pretty much the frontier engine for actually pushing forward what's going on and what's the direction for the next few months, next few years. And then I was like, I want to join a Dex team. And then there was an interesting thing also. Like back then, with the data team we were in, we developed a small like MVP called "Where Should I Trade?" Because that was a hackathon in Germany, so that it's .de. It's like, where should I trade? So that was like, and then basically it's like people come to the website, they say they want to trade USDC to WETH, and then we can tell them, oh, so the best price is on IDEX, Ether Delta, or Kyber or something. And then nowadays I realize it's an aggregator. So it does. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. So now at Xerox, when I joined, there was one data scientist, Kroger. He built up a few data infra and pipeline stuff. So when I joined, he shifted to engineer role. I was more like maintaining the data engineering pipeline, and then also covering all fronts of like reporting internally, also externally working with Dune. Also a few other data providers. They would, for example, like BigQuery or other Blocksy, those data providers, they will have to source the volume of Xerox or Matcha. So you have to work with them to help decoding attribution stuff. So pretty much everything. But the last 1 year at 2021, I'm sure it's like crazy year for every team. So like our data team expanded from 2 people. Nowadays like 6 people. So my responsibility is like reduced to more on-chain data part, I would say.
Mm-hmm. All right. Can you? I think many people will not really be familiar with what the OX network is doing. So maybe if you could give us a brief overview over what that is.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you're trolling saying OX or Xerox, but I'm joking. So yeah.
What's the correct name?
Oh, Xerox.
Okay.
Yeah. We had no, yeah, I'm joking. So yeah, Xerox has been in the Dex space for a long time, and like 2017, I would say, and the team started with like a order book model. So basically, it's like whoever come to the protocol, you can be someone submitting an order. Nowadays, it's like limit order. And so basically, you are basically making an order, and then we will put the order into like a pool. And then once there's a match saying you're trading A to B, the other person trading B to A, then that's a match, and you get your taker of the order. So like a maker and taker make an order, and so that was an order book model. And then with the rise of AMM, including Uniswap, SushiSwap, we gradually realized that order book can be more efficient if it's integrating the liquidity from AMM, because it's pretty dynamically adjusting the price, and you can always find like a backup option from the pool. And so Xerox started to do aggregator by comparing different sources of the liquidity on Dex. And then then gradually, so we developed this API, Xerox API, where you can access the swap endpoint and then basically say, I want to make a trade. And then we will get you the best price across different Dex liquidities. So that was, I guess, like 2 years ago. And then later on, the team realized the big money in the TradFi, like market makers, they can actually even more efficiently sense the dynamics or the movement of the market, because they're actively arbitraging across different platforms, and they can provide even more competitive quotes for the users compared to AMM. And then so nowadays, the Xerox API that is still like an aggregator comparing prices is including both our order book and also AMM, and also our request for quotes kind of quoting from market maker. So yeah, that's the current model. And so the Xerox API is basically the main product for Xerox. But then the team realized, so we work with all kinds of like dApp, like including Zerion, Zapper, MetaMask wallet, Coinbase wallet. Whenever they want to access Dex liquidity, they just like call our API. So in a sense, our customers is more like to B at the moment. And then the team realized like we could manifest how retail app could better use the API. And then so we built Matcha like a year and a half ago, I would say. And then so Matcha is like a front end a front end, like a website. You go to matcha.xyz and then you make a trade, and then we will get you the best price still like through Xerox API. And also with the landscape changing, we went to multi-chain nowadays.
Yeah. And like, why is it called 0x network? Like, what is the network aspect there? Like, do you store it like kind of on chain? Do you like submit proofs on chain? Like, how does that whole thing work?
Yeah. I think the team definitely thought about like putting everything on chain, but history proved that on chain is not efficient enough for making the trade with good price. So we are still like the pricing part is off chain in terms of like the price comparison. We definitely fetch the price from on chain from like all those AMM pools. But then our backend is off chain, but then the settlement layer is on chain. So
Okay, I see.
yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. So if I go to, all good.
It's sunrise there.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's it looks good. So if I go to MetaMask and MetaMask swap feature, then I
Yes.
will literally just call the OX API, or like MetaMask calls the OX API for me.
Yeah, that is correct. But also, nowadays, the wallets, they would want to they want to try the best to get the best price for users. So they are not only calling our API, they're also calling 1inch. So they're literally like an aggregator of aggregator. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's wow, that's interesting. And the same probably applies to what Zerion and Zapper are doing.
I'm not sure that specific two teams, but Coinbase wallet is likely as well, and CowSwap is for sure. Frank Gnosis protocol. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, that's that's very insightful. I never really thought about it that way. So you are basically taking care of the on-chain data for everything or like most of the things that happen like on chain for the OX network. Is that kind of a correct statement?
Yeah, I could say that. Also, so we have like an internal data pipeline that is like fetching the on-chain data. Externally, we are also using Doom. Sometimes some other data providers as well. It has different reasons. So like, it's always a lot of overhead for a DApp team to like how to say pull the full copy of the blockchain data. It's giant and it's a lot of maintenance. You guys know they're at Doom Analytics. So the internal data pipeline is only fetching that's the things that's relevant to 0x, like all the transactions that 0x exchange proxy sent. So that was like that is helpful for internal data metrics and stuff like to reporting to the reporting of volume and reporting of user number and stuff. But then Dune is super helpful because it's like coverage of the whole blockchain, as well as also like so many other teams already do the attribution there. So if you want to do market share comparison or like user comparison, or if you want to check if our user overlaps with 1inch a lot or something, that would be Dune. So
yeah. Maybe we could actually jump into some of the dashboards that you made on the Dex aggregator market, I guess. I think I saw a dashboard there. And just like get a few thoughts about like how do you like actually work with these results? Like, let's get into it. Yeah. Hopefully it works.
You wanna? Oh, I'll share screen. One second. Cool. You can see screen, right? So let me see. So here's one dashboard that's on my personal account that is called Dex Aggregator. There always been some discussion about how the data should be attributed. But let's dive into like a general idea here. So as we know, like Dex Aggregator is like a specific, how to say, widget on top of like different liquidities. So like we are sourcing liquidities from all those Dex. And then the teams that are doing similar things are, the biggest one are like 1inch and Paraswap. And so also like this is Ethereum only. Where what we see is that you see like over the time. So this is a more full, how to say, history of all the Dex aggregator. 1inch was super early and they started like 2019. And then after almost a year, 0x started but using the API service, providing this API service. And then later on, Paraswap started. So nowadays, I would say 1inch is still like the dominant one that is over 50% of the market share in terms of volume. And then 0x is like the second, around 32% of market share. So this is how the current landscape look like. There are a lot of like, how to say, nuances here about the data. So one thing I do add as a filter here in this dashboard is I am excluding the wrapping volume here. So as I said, I'm excluding all the like. So first of all, east to east doesn't make sense. WETH to WETH doesn't make sense. But just for generic purpose, I'm just like excluding all of them. Specifically, wrapping volume means east to WETH or unwrapping WETH to ETH. So in our team, we were like discussing, turns out like the wrapping volume can take a large percent in some other aggregators. So we were like, this doesn't really make sense to, how to say, demonstrate the like the user needs, because it's always accompanied by a trade. If the user want to maybe swap swap ETH to another token, and then they have to get it onboarded through a wrapping volume. So yeah, that's one thing. There's another thing that is also controversial. I would say like there's some discussion is that people are saying aggregators we should likely to exclude the hops. So what is hop? So like so nowadays aggregator has so many complicated logic. We do a lot of complicated things. For example, multiple fill is one thing, which is pretty straightforward. Is like when you want to make a big trade, let's say you want to trade 1 million USDC to WTH, we will find maybe 500K liquidity from bank or 500K liquidity from Uniswap and make you 2 fills. So like when we count the fills, first of all, some people make it confused. They're gonna count it as 2 trades. So that's multiple fills. That's one thing. The second thing is the hop thing. So like if you are trading a super illiquid pair, let's say, what would be an example? I don't know. Like a super unknown new DeFi token A to token B, and then we found out, oh, the price is super bad, or at least, or there's no pool like that at all to trade between this pair. We will find you something like A to WTH and then WTH to B. So that will be a bridge in between. That's a hop in between. And so different aggregators, when they settle this trade on chain, they can settle it differently in execution. So what we do is like we tend to not log a specific event, so to save some gas for the user. But then in this case, when I decode the data, I will have to maybe go down to the Uniswap event and grab that fill, and then go to the other liquidity source to grab that fill. And then in this case, I will be actually doubling the volume. So that's one issue right now still existing in the aggregator space. So yeah, that's like multi-hop people are talking about.
Yeah. So you are indeed counting the volume.
We are making sure not duplicating for the most cases, but there are still some cases that we're duplicating it. But I think it's also depending on how you are interpreting the data. So like so if we're counting multi-hops, I think the volume, it does still represent the protocol's execution capacity on chain and the smart contracts routing capacity. But if you're counting that volume and saying that's the actual user requested needs, that's not true then. So like if you are trying to measure the user demand in terms of volume, then you would want to dedupe the volume. So I think it's also depending on how you interpret the data.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as there's like a consistent method for, like, if you're using the same method for all the different aggregators, I guess you can reasonably make these comparisons. But yeah, that just shows, like, if you, like, when I started working with blockchain data, I was like, hey, this should all be like really clean. It just gets produced by computers. Like, how cool is this? There's no input issues and stuff. And then you like actually get down into the weeds and you're like, holy shit, like there's a lot of edge cases. So yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
Especially like what we do with Dune right now in the Dex abstraction repo, it's like you want to standardize something, but like each team is executing it a
Yeah.
different way and maybe innovative way, but then it's hard to standardize. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, interesting. Yeah, and it's also like super interesting from our side that like this is such a like sought out, like Dune is such a sought after product. What is this word? The Dex aggregators like Dune, like that's what I'm trying to say. Because it's like it enables you guys to like not only look at your own data, because I guess 1inch has like their own like internal data pipelines as well. But like then if you want to look at like everything, like Banker and Uniswap and Uniswap V2, 3, SushiSwap, like and then like all of these like super fringe dexes as well, then it's like it's like not feasible to do this on your own. So our product comes in very handy there. So it's super interesting to see like the Dex.Trades abstraction evolve with like the help from all of these teams.
Yeah. I want to say though, like one thing really interesting is that thinking about that repo that everyone's contributing to, it's a DAO with an incentivizing mechanism, because everyone want to be well represented, but then everyone's like trying to do governance on other people's volumes. Like, hey, and then nag you in the PRs, like fix this data. So yeah.
It's a DAO. It's a jointly managed repository, which is basically there's some wars are being fought in there. It's pretty funny to read through there sometimes. Can you open the Dex metrics dashboard of Frederick? So in there, just to like put this into perspective for like those people who are unfamiliar with the DEX space, the aggregator DEX share volume, or the aggregator share of DEX volume, is actually 27%. So it's a giant market. So in the last, like, I guess 7 days, 30 days, what is this? How much volume do you guys make? Oh, there it is.
Yes, here we go. It's like a few billion.
Yeah, casually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like 7 days, a few billion. Also, it's like totally different a year ago. I felt the past year it's been booming in terms of volume and number of users as well. One thing though is that one ironic thing is that whenever the market crash, like a good time for us to see the volume. It's like the peak time for the volume. So it's always like picking up in the bloody market as well. So yeah.
Yeah, people need to get out of their positions, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the chart on the left, like, could you comment on like the colorfulness? Like,
Yeah. It's awesome. I'm sure also the color has been growing a lot over the time. You want me to comment on the color
like
itself?
no, like how many different dexes there are now? Like, what's your opinion on this? Is this actually like, is this real innovation, or is it just like these 100 forks are just like trying to grift?
I mean nowadays here it shows like 20-ish something or even plus. There are even more, like some smaller teams they're not yet working with them, or like they didn't, and they haven't figured out the landscape. They have to go to the repo yet. But yeah, like I see Uniswap being dominating. I think Sushi's volume has been going down, and there's recently, but Sushi always has been like number 2 or 3 in terms of Dex AMM. And then Curve has been under the attention recently through the wars and stuff. We also looked into Curve data. They are definitely having an advantage over like the XY equals to K design when it's like a super fluctuating market based on their curve design. So yeah, those are like the big names for Dex AMM. And then I think it's always like 1inch or 0x falling to the biggest aggregator. Oh yeah, but I think this chart is only Dex. So
yeah, it's not included, because then like we would have like a bunch of very duplicated volume if we would include dexes.
That makes one good thing. I think one thing that is interesting in aggregators data that it can also showcase the competitiveness of Dex is that when we are comparing the price, basically we're comparing which Dex have a better pricing in this case. So like if liquidity from Uniswap is sourced more, then that means Uniswap has a better liquidity source. So it's like a fair comparison for the pricing for all the Dex AMM.
Yeah. So. Do you have data on where you're routing to? I think 1inch has that data somewhere. So maybe we can look at Anton's dashboard if you don't mind.
Oh yeah.
I think K06A.
Yeah. Okay.
But you probably are you logging this data internally? Probably, right?
K06A. Oh yeah, we're logging it internally.
I think it is.
I think he's showing. Yeah.
Yeah, 1inch exported volumes.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
So this it's Uniswap v3, pretty much.
Yeah, I think so. It's based on their design of the pool, where also specifically the 1 BPS pool creation that has been like enabling a lot of potential there. Yep. One also interesting angle though, some people may use it for analysis, is that like when Uniswap's liquidity is sourced more, it's likely because the LP is not actively moving their liquidity according to the market movement. So it's possible the higher capital efficiency is at the cost of LP's impermanent loss, because the price wasn't, how to say, matched towards what the market is showing as a middle market price, and then basically the liquidity provider is giving out a very bad price for themselves, things like that.
Yeah.
And then there are so many arbitrage bots is like eating their liquidity at the
Is Uniswap struggling? Like, I mean, for the LPs, it should theoretically be a good thing if there's arbitrage bots, right? Like, if the bots just like trade into Uniswap pools all the time, like they get the fees from that.
Yeah, they get the fee from them, but let's say they put into the liquidity for like ETH to the USDC at a price of, I don't know, like $2,000 ETH, and but then like the market moved crazily to $3,000 ETH, one ETH, and then they could have like withdraw the liquidity and maybe sell it somewhere else with a better price compared to that.
Yeah.
So that was like impermanent loss, like I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, the Uni V3, yeah. It's more of a like it's a platform. Like if you go on there personally and you try to like make some like I have some like I know some people who are just like, yeah, I'm like LPing and like small cap shitcoins, and like that's usually working out pretty well. But like if you go into like ETH USDC or something, like you'll get wrecked as like as a retail user if this is not like your, like if market making is not your job, it's no longer like feasible to do it. But
Exactly.
the innovation that this has brought forth is pretty incredible. Like if you look at like how much liquidity, or like with how little liquidity, like how much volume share Uniswap V3 is taking, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Actually, we did some research on it. I totally agree there. It's like actually the 1 BPS pool or 5 BPS pool is like much more active than the larger BPS pool, and the capital efficiency could be like something at 5 digits percent. Some things like that. It was like boosted into some crazy number. Yeah. But as you said, the USDT pool, the USDC pool and WTA pool is definitely not for the retail. It's like super active, and also like the biggest market maker. I mean, it's known. Their name address is labeled. So like market maker like Wintermute and stuff. They're like actively market making. Not really market making. They're market making with aggregators. Like they're providing quotes with the aggregators, as well as they're also eating as arbitrage bots on the liquidity. So they're like trying to get the both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I need to get one of those people on here. Need to read like 5 books on market making before, I guess.
Yeah.
to like even be able to ask questions. So yeah, that's a pretty interesting dashboard. I'm actually surprised, like why is it that the 1 BPS pools do not, like on the chart on the right top, that you're like like one above that, I think. Like where's the 1 BPS pools?
The 1 BPS pool, it seems like the liquidity range is pretty off from the market, middle market.
Okay.
I think it's possible that like it's being, how to say, it's being consumed too quickly.
Okay.
But needs more to be confirmed.
Yeah. So yeah, so to get back to this, like the Dex aggregators are basically a good indicator of like which mechanism is working best.
I think so, and that would be specifically also to the pairs, or the specifically to the pools they're providing, like MIM was definitely showing up only on Curve and stuff, and also there's another condition, only if the aggregator is comparing the price fairly, right, without any prejudice towards any, like buyers towards any, like prioritize any pool.
Has there been debate around that?
I don't think there's been a debate around that, but I would imagine if any aggregator, they come up with their native liquidity, or I don't know, their own users limit order pool, it could be a design, but it's not confirmed that.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, that would be Yeah, yeah, like you would need to communicate that clearly. So
Yeah.
yeah, not something I've thought about before. Um,
Yeah. In that case, aggregator of aggregator can also double check.
yeah. So yeah, but yeah, the problem with like especially MetaMask is that they swap, like they charge this huge fee. So it's like wherever you end up trading, it's like you get a like really bad quote anyways, because just MetaMask takes like I think something like 0.5% of you or something, like, or even higher. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, like 875. Yeah.
0.875.
Yeah, 0.875. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's almost a percent. That's really bad. Um yeah, I think like we've covered the Dex aggregator market. So maybe like what's your like favorite dashboard on Dune besides like what you are personally working on at the moment?
I see. My favorite one, Dex metrics is the one that I go to the most, and then yeah, I like that one a lot. What's the other favorite one? If I may take a look. Other than the one I work on, you mean so
Yeah,
other
I mean,
people's
like,
dashboard?
are you not fangirling around someone like?
Okay. Well, honestly, I'm a fangirl of Anton.
Yeah,
'Cause, yeah, because like he's like just super quick
yeah,
updating all the one data.
yeah.
Yeah, I try to talk to him sometimes. Like I was like, hey, this volume might be needs an adjustment because it's also a lot of overlapping between also aggregators because
Mm-hmm.
one each also used to use our own chain smart contracts so
Mm-hmm.
to settle their trades. And then so one of his query is using like the Xerox table that I built,
Mm-hmm.
and then we shifted the table with like version and stuff, and I was like, you will need to change to that table.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I sent the message, it's like, you're not his friend. You cannot talk to him. This way. And then, yeah, after a year ago, later or something, like he accepted my friend request. So yeah, I'm a fangirl.
Yeah.
I mean, recently I've been seeing like a lot more like crazy wizard stuff from NFT space and and I really like the EIP 1559 dash from Michael Serpling.
Yeah.
He's like generating all those like parameters
Yeah.
with the new features. So
Yeah. Michael's basically programming Dune. Like he's just
yeah,
like,
exactly.
you don't give me an API. Like let me build this myself. It's
Yeah, exactly.
it's pretty amazing to see what kind of like I think he comes up in every episode because I'm his number one fangirl. Like it's like
This is
yeah,
fanboy.
yeah, right. Yeah, the innovation that he's bringing to our platform is like it's madness.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he's just putting us on a whole other level. And now what he's doing,
Like,
have you seen, like, have you looked into the optimism extraction repo, what he's doing in there? He's basically like
yes.
what we've done as a community for like Ethereum, he's just doing on his own for optimism. And it's
Yes.
just like, what the fuck?
Yes. I Yes, yes. Thanks to him. So the other day I was looking at the report. I was like, oh, Michael is like committing every day so actively, and I looked into it. So basically, he was building out all the infra tables on
Yep.
Optimism, like pulling in token metadata, token prices, and then so I was like, oh, then this easy, and then really create the Xerox volume on Optimism like fairly quickly with his table, and it's like no issue. So it's widget. It's awesome.
Yeah. He's a like I've learned that grand wizard is a really bad word in the US, so he's not a grand wizard, but um, uh, he's a great wizard. Um, yeah, how's the multi-chain like move for the OX network going?
Yeah, optimism. I got that dashboard. Ugh. So yeah, Xerox has been trying to expand to multi-chain since last year, March 2021 March. So the first move was Binance Smart Chain, and there's been so many challenges since we moved to multi-chain because it's a lot. A lot of the chains are like much faster in terms of like block production. For example, Binance and Polygon are both like 2 or 3 seconds production. It's a challenge for the data infra. I'm sure you guys know. It's like how often the cron job to check the chain, as well as a reorg issue. So like as far as I know, I think Polygon is the one that could be like most headache. So I was joking the other day when Polygon raised like crazy evaluation. I was like, that should be distributed partially for all the teams that is building on Polygon for their data infra cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So imagine like I think they have something like 3 hour kind of finality time, and then translated into blocks, it's like over 3,000 blocks, and so it's impossible. So to do the reorg check in the regular way. So the regular way we do could be probably not that smart one, is that we just make sure we will scrape to the top tip of the chain, but then next time when we will remove the last 30 blocks or the last blocks that is potentially reorged. But then that's not possible to do with Polygon. So you will always have like sanity check to check the block block parent hash and stuff. So it's challenging our infra. It's also improving, I guess. So yeah, so that's one aspect about multi-chain. So whenever 0x API is expanded to multi-chain, the logic is that we will need to deploy the smart contracts on the new chain first, and then we will do the API side to enable it to be able to actually access different chain. And then on the Matcha side, we will enable the front end so people can actually make the trade on different chain. But I would say a lot of chain, when we try to decide which chain to go to, we will do the research in terms of like how many users there already, how many transactions there that is happening every day already. But it's also depending on how many liquidity sources there are. Mm-hmm. So like if Uniswap and SushiSwap is not going there, or like the large liquidity pool is not going there, then there's no meaning for aggregator to no price to aggregate there. It's going to be bad price for users anyway. So we will have to go after the Dex AMM, usually, I would say, logically. Yeah. And then now talking about Solana, it's like a chain. So it's like so much more to learn. And it's like a few data stuff that I learned that is like totally different context in terms of what we talk about for the metrics. It's like, first of all, when you talk about number of transactions, a lot of data we Solana presenting the number of transactions is including the validated. So it's like 80% of some data on Solana Beach or somewhere. It's showing that those are mostly the POS validator that is voting for confirming the blocks. So when you talk about transactions, you want to be aware what's the scale you're actually talking about. And then also there's another thing that the Solana token program, it's designed to be that like when one wallet, they have a token holding, it's like some kind of address is generated. And then if you have another token in this same wallet, there's another address associated to that. So when we talk about number of addresses, it's not same concepts as number of wallet users even. Yeah, not even talking about number of users, not even the same number of wallets, I would say.
Yeah, the like concept of Solana is just radically different from what Ethereum is doing with like storing a global state. And in Solana, they have like this account, I think accounts they are called, account system. And it's just like, when I first looked into Solana data, it's like, I was like, oh, what is that? Like we will all need to, like the data analyst community will all have to learn this. Or like, I guess some of us will just be like, I don't care. Like I will stay like EVM focused. Because like I frankly think that it's like the EVM space is already getting so big that it's like, for most of us, it's probably like the better move to just be like, hey, I'm gonna specialize in this, and then there will be other people popping up which can be the Solana specialists. Like I kind of need to learn it because of this, but it's like if it wouldn't be for that, like I would probably like stay being an EVM specialist, just because like the EVM is also like already very complicated. and then like trying to learn all of the Solana stuff, it seems really hard. But maybe Solana data will actually be easier, because like what kind of problem we are facing on the Ethereum blockchain oftentimes is like that we are not, like, we can't access the storage diffs on Dune, right? And like I think in general, like that's a very hard problem to solve. I think there's one team in the space who's trying to do this now, and I'm really excited. Like I'm just like excited to see that when it goes live. But yeah, it's a real problem, and maybe like the account system that Solana is doing, because like the global state is basically like in these accounts, right? So maybe it will be easier for us data analysts, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I would imagine. I mean, as an analyst, though, I would want to I want to get famous with the Solana dashboard on Dune Analytics. So you wouldn't stop people from analyzing EVM too. So just like all those big VCs, they are like, we won't make it on Ethereum, so we're gonna use Solana to make it.
Yeah.
That's an opportunity. So
yeah, the new generation of Dune wizards will be Solana wizards. That could happen. That could happen. And like we'll have to see like how fast we can develop like certain certain query meta, and like how easy it will be to fork like different queries of different people. But I think most of the stuff that's happening on Solana is like, it's this one DEX anyways, which is called Radium. And like, is it called Radium? I don't know. There's one DEX which just has like a shit ton of different front ends, but like the back end is always the same. So it's like it all should like, I think 80% of the transactions are basically like this one DEX which just has these different front ends. So it like I don't know. It doesn't sound too complicated if you think about it at first.
I see. So sounds like a Uniswap of Solana. I think I heard some name of like Serum and Ultra.
Oh, yeah, it could also be Serum. Yeah, See, like I don't know much about Solana yet. What I was originally like, or like a question that came to mind is like, so the OX network has this like has this API already, right? So are you looking at doing like cross-chain stuff eventually, where you're like, we can like, somebody submits an order for like 500,000 in Ether, and then you are like, hey, like we can actually like make this trade cheaper on Polygon and like bridge back to ETH. Is that something you guys are thinking about?
Yeah. Yes, totally. Cross-chain is being a big topic here as well for research. There could be different way to implement it. Also, like in the scenario you just mentioned, right? It's possible the user may just want the token back in Polygon network, or maybe they still want the token back in Ethereum, but then we found like a better swap hop through another network. It could be crazily complicated, but I think from initially we had some thinking of like, what if we don't do any extra infra kind of hustle, but just let the market maker to market make through different chain. So like they will do their rebalancing through chain cross the bridge themselves every day or stuff. So that would be like a automatic, like economically incentivized widget to bridge the cross-chain functionality. So that's one thinking at the moment. Another thinking is like basically use protocols like cross-chain bridge, like Hop protocol or any other like infra. I think we're considering multiple at the moment to figure out what would be the best option. And then so to whenever user want to trade through different chain, we basically do all the things like bridge the asset and then do the swap there, something like that. But then the recent wormhole thing makes us really I wouldn't say hesitating, but then want to be more cautious for the step we take. So maybe I think Xerox has always been honestly, like we wouldn't want to like be chase the trend to be the first one to do this here or there. I think we're more cautious and be responsible for all the like partners working with. So it could be we may just like observe the landscape and see what's being stably developing and then decide. So
yeah, fast follower strategy basically.
Yeah, that's the style.
Yeah, but it's also like there's like so much complexity involved already, and then like if you factor in like reorgs, so if those happen and you have done like a multi like chain swap, then it's like you're basically sitting there like, oh, like what are we gonna do?
That is,
So it's very
yeah.
complicated. So
Yeah, that is true. Like with the finality time, like mathematically, you wait for the longest finality time. Yeah. So yeah.
yeah, need some good insurance. um, um, what else
Or
do
we
I?
just let the or we just let the jump capital to invest everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, reasonable. Um, I don't know if you've seen this, but like you've probably heard the story of like there's this couple who stole like 3.6 billion Bitcoin, and there was one like schema how those FBI agents tracked the different wallets. Have you seen that?
I haven't, but I would imagine it's like some kind of mixing detection, like whoever traded with this address and then like looking like a Sankey diagram. I would
Yeah,
love to
yeah.
know
It
more
was
about. So
basically a flow diagram. And
yeah.
Monero was somewhere in there, and I was actually like really surprised. But you don't happen to have insights into like how like not like how to decode Monero, but like just like Bitcoin and Monero tracing in general. Is that something you're kind of familiar with? Probably not, right?
Not much. But yeah, like the very back then that de-anonymized project was basically like trying to do something like this. Like trying I'm not sure if this is exact same though. Like assuming they will have to transact their wallets, but they were doing some mixing pattern, like they just transacting with some random irrelevant wallets as well. And but you get like a connected components in a network graph, and then you can basically get all of them that is relevant. I don't know if that's the idea here.
Yeah, yeah. I like maybe you would like. I thought maybe you had seen the flowchart. I'll send it to you after the podcast. It was pretty. Like I was just very surprised that like they were able like they went through like a few different mixes. They went through Monero and like through like 20 different wallets, and they were still able to be tracked. So I just thought that that would be like it's just an interesting like the state agencies seem to be pretty good, seem to be
Uh,
getting pretty good. So everyone out there who's safe after like who feels safe behind tornadoes, like you should think twice.
I see. I see.
um, yeah. Yeah, I think this has been a very insightful conversation. Maybe like if you could wish on a star, like what feature would you like to see in Dune next, or like we've announced a few features. So during our like Series B announcement and like yeah. So other than that, like what would be a feature that you would really like to see?
Yeah. I think Dune has been super helpful, like doing the education part, like hosting that Our Network SQL course. We literally found our recent data scientist through that course. He joined us like this week. He
Wow.
was a super crazy how to say actively
Hmm.
crazily active member in that course. Deepan Jiao. Yeah, so we're lucky to
Oh, really?
like is pushing the space. Yes, yeah, he's joining us. And so yeah, my feature request is that
That's great.
yeah, I think like Dune has all the stuff that's needed for like a newbie to enter the space as a data expert as the career goal. So maybe we could do something like knowledge graph or some kind of like how to say like for I would imagine where you can go to Dune and then find out like, oh, these are all the best dashboards about NFT, and then these are all about Dex, and these are the thing you need to know about DAO and stuff. And so, and then curating more that kind of onboarding new analyst kind of thing. That would be awesome. That would be
Mhm,
exciting.
mhm.
And see, you guys can also like develop a like career platform already. um,
It's actually amazing how many people of the like 30 for 30 course have jobs now or are
yes,
like very like successful in the space. Like
yes,
we have hired one as well, or like two if you
nice.
count. Like we've given a freelancer grant out to Shuchin this morning, and we've hired someone else. So yeah, those people are really going places. It's really amazing to see, and
Hmm.
yeah, I fully agree with your take on like knowledge creation. I think like Dune could become like more like a Wikipedia style thing, where it's like different,
Yes.
like what's already kind of happening in the Dexter.trade repository, where like different people like try to find like a like truth. And
Yeah.
that's something that I've very actively been thinking about for the last like few weeks,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we'll definitely start trying to tackle that. And then there's also like, I think it needs to be like a different kind of UI thing where it's like we just like curate certain dashboards. So yeah, like I have I'll probably hit you up about that
Yeah.
again
Sounds good.
sometime offline. And also like education, we're also like we fully
Yeah.
see this, and it will be my mission. I'm Professor Dune now.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, also like the Dune Discord is like a Stack Overflow for the blockchain data querying. So if you like open up like a tab for forum, I imagine people would even like, I wouldn't say like making a living, but like trying to make it as a like, I don't know, like a thing for answering their and be a wizard there.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we should just start a Stack Overflow category.
Yeah.
I guess like that like, because it's like the solution for like most code stuff. So that could actually make sense. I should actually check if there has been a question that has been unanswered since like 6 months. I don't know. Yeah, it could be because nobody ever checks. Yeah, but that's like surfacing all the knowledge that we are exchanging all the time. Like I think that's like a big theme that we like as an organization recognize that we're not doing good enough of a job of that. So yeah, great, like interesting feedback. Thanks so much for coming on. I'm a big user of matcha myself. Although recently, like CowSwap is also like I really like CowSwap, but I hear they're using OX in the background as well.
Yes.
Thanks for all the contributions to Dexter Trades. Keep rocking. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Have a nice day.
Okay, you too. Thank you everyone for hanging here, and have a nice day. Now I'll come. We will everyone. We will cross paths in this space. So
yeah, we'll see each other around.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks for. Bye bye. Yeah.